Hello kids, I'm Snehil and I have prepared this presentation on chapter Nutrition and Plants. Okay, this chapter is given in your class 7 science textbook. Okay, this is chapter 1. So before starting this chapter, I think I should introduce you with all the topics which we are going to do today. Okay, so first of all, we will do nutrition, and in this, we will discuss what is nutrition, what are some nutrients, why do we need food, and are there any organisms that can survive without food? Okay, we will discuss all this. Secondly, we will discuss about a very interesting topic, which is modes of nutrition. So in this, we will basically discuss how does an organism get their food, and are we all organisms obtain food in a similar way? Okay, and in this we will also discuss different modes of obtaining food. Firstly, we will discuss about autotrophic mode of nutrition. So in today's class we will discuss about this in depth, and in upcoming classes we will discuss about heterotrophic mode of nutrition, in which an organism obtains food from some other organism because they cannot make their food, and this is of two types: parasitic mode of nutrition and saprotrophic mode of nutrition. And we will also discuss a very interesting example, which is insectivorous plants. These plants are both partially autotrophic and partially heterotrophic, and we will discuss why is it so. This is very interesting. And lastly, we will discuss about symbiotic relationships. Symbiotic relationships are, basically a kind of relationship in which two organisms live in close association. Okay, so here we will discuss few examples which are given in your NCERT textbook. First one is lichen, second is mycorrhiza, and third is rhizobium and leguminous plant. Okay, so let's discuss. And yes, one more important thing, I have prepared these questions, and these questions are really important because these questions will provide base for your understanding of concepts. Okay, and there is one very interesting activity in the end. So in this activity, we are supposed to prove that sunlight is necessary for the process of photosynthesis. This activity is given in your NCERT also, and to perform this activity, it is required that we should know that what is iodine test and why is it used. Okay, so actually this iodine test is given in your class 6 chapter 2, but in case you forgot this, then I have very interesting thing for you. Yeah, so see this. This is virtual lab. So here we can perform experiments virtually. So right now we are going to perform a very simple and interesting experiment. So we will test the presence of starch in different food items. Okay. So this is wheat, and now this is our iodine solution, and we will add few drops of iodine solution here. Okay, now you can see the change in color. The iodine solution was initially a little bit brownish and orangish in color, but now it turns into blue black color. Okay, so this suggests that wheat contains starch. And how do we get to know this? We get to know this because of the change in color, because the iodine solution turns blue black. Okay, now test few more food items. Let's take carrot. Okay, this is our carrot extract, and now again we will add few drops of iodine solution. Okay, so now we can see there is no change in color. So I want you to tell, what does it mean? Pause the video and think for a moment. Yes, exactly. So here the starch is not present in carrot. That is why there is no change in color. So we will use this iodine test to perform another activity, which is basically where we have to prove that sunlight is necessary for the photosynthesis. We will perform this in the end of this class, because before performing this activity, it is important for us to build our understanding, to build our concept. Okay, so without wasting any time, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing is nutrition. You must have heard this word multiple times. So can you think and tell me what is nutrition. Pause the video. Exactly. This is very easy. Nutrition is basically the process of taking food and then utilizing this food to obtain energy. Yeah, here you just have to remember two things. It is basically the process of taking food or eating food and then utilizing that food to obtain energy and to carry out different life processes. Okay. So in this definition, you can see a term organism. So do you know who are organisms? Hmm? Yeah, organisms are living things. Yes, you see a lot of things around you which are living. For example, humans, animals, plants, algae, fungi, microorganisms, right? So these all are living things. So we collectively call them organisms. Okay, now the very common and very simple question arises, which is why do we need food? Why do you eat food? Think for a moment and tell me. Yes, exactly. We need food because our food contains some nutrients like carbohydrate, protein, fats, vitamins, minerals, and beside these, our food also contains roughage and water, right? And these nutrients perform very important functions for us, right? So that is why it is important to eat food. Okay, so let's discuss each nutrient one by one. So first one is carbohydrates and fats. These are called energy giving foods. It means they give us energy. So we can say that food is important for us because food contains carbohydrates and carbohydrates provide us energy. In the same way, we can talk about fats also. Secondly, we can say proteins. Proteins are important for us because proteins are called bodybuilding foods and they help us to grow and repair our body. In the same way, vitamins, these provide us immunity, keep our eyes, bones, teeth, gums healthy, and similarly minerals. These are required in very small quantity, but they are also very important. They help us to grow and maintain our body. Okay. And roughage, yeah, it is also important because it helps us to get rid of undigested food. It basically helps us to digest the undigested food. Okay. Lastly, water. Water is very important, right? So, in the case of water, it performs majorly two important functions. Okay, first one is that it absorbs nutrient from food, and secondly, it throws out waste from body in the form of urine and sweat. Okay, so we can simply say that why do we need food? We need food because our food contains several nutrients and these nutrients perform important functions for us. Okay, and these are these functions. Okay, so we can conclude that no organism can survive without food, right? Exactly. So let's move forward. Okay, so our next topic is modes of nutrition. So when I say, modes of nutrition, I simply mean process of obtaining food, the process of getting food. Okay, so on the basis of process of obtaining food and getting food, we have categorized organisms into two major categories, and these categories are autotrophs. This is first one, and second is heterotrophs. Okay, okay, so let's discuss them one by one. Okay, let's discuss it through examples. Plants. Okay, so you know that plants obtain their own food. They can make their own food through the process of photosynthesis. So all the organisms who can obtain their own food and such organisms are called autotrophs. Okay, let's discuss in depth. Autotrophs, as the name suggests, auto means self, trophos means nourishment. These are the organisms who can self nourish themselves. Okay, so basically they obtain their food through autotrophic mode of nutrition. And what is autotrophic mode of nutrition? It is a mode of nutrition in which organisms make their own food. Okay, they can make their own food. So Example is plants. Okay, now let's take the opposite category, which is heterotrophs. You know that we humans and other animals cannot prepare their food. Well, you must be thinking, no, we can prepare, my mother, my father in the kitchen prepare food. But no, we cannot prepare raw materials. For raw materials, we depend on plants, right? If you want to make bagan ki sabzi, for that, from where do you get bagan? Brinjal. From where do you get brinjal? You get it from plants, right? If in case you want to make chicken, from where do you get chicken? Right? So you depend on others to obtain your food, right? So such organisms who depend on others to obtain their food and cannot prepare their own food, such organisms are called heterotrophs. Okay, so now here heteros means others, trophos means nourishment. So these are the organisms who depend on others for their nourishment, and they obtain their food through heterotrophic mode of nutrition, which means the mode of nutrition in which organisms cannot prepare their own food and depend on others. Okay, in this picture also you can see all the plants come under the category of autotrophs, and all the animals, spider, crabs, fishes, and even humans comes under the category of heterotrophs. Okay, so through this discussion, we can say that we animals and humans depend on plants. But can you tell me how we directly depend on plants and how we indirectly depend on plants? Pause the video and think for a moment. Yeah, okay, I'm hiding the answer. Now think. Exactly. We humans as well as animals depend on plants. Okay. But we directly depend on plants because some animals get their food directly from plants. They directly, eat all the plant products. But in some cases, animals get their food from the animals that eat plants. For example, we eat goat and goat eat plants. Okay, so indirectly we are depend on plants because we are eating animals that eat plants. Okay, so we can say that whether directly or indirectly, but ultimately we depend on plants for our food. Okay, okay, now you can you tell me at what place in your house your father cook food? Hmm? In the kitchen, right? Exactly. So in the case of plant also, they also prepare their food in their kitchen. But do you know which part is called the kitchen of plants or food factories of plants? Exactly. Leaves. Leaves are called kitchen of plants or food factories of plants. Okay, for example, let's discuss it and understand this concept of making food with a very interesting example. For example, your father wants to cook dal, and to cook dal, what are the raw materials you need? Exactly, we need dal grains, we need water, we need salt, we need spices. So, in the same way, plants also require some raw materials to prepare their food, and raw materials are water and minerals, and second is carbon dioxide. Okay, so now we have our raw materials in both the cases, in the case of dal and in the case where plants are preparing their food. Okay, now in the case of dal, where will you put all these raw materials? You will put all your raw materials in pressure cooker now. Okay, this is the place where you will cook, right? So in the same way, chlorophyll, which is present in leaves, this is basically the green pigment. This is this is the thing, this is the pigment which uses these raw materials to cook food. Okay, now get back to dal. Here, where what is the source of energy? Okay, so here the source of energy is gas stove, but in the case of photosynthesis, the source of energy is sunlight. Okay, so here we have raw materials, and these raw materials will be utilized by chlorophyll in the presence of sunlight to cook our final products, and our final products are carbohydrates and oxygen. So in this case, our final product is dal, but in the case of photosynthesis, our final products are carbohydrates and oxygen. So through this analogy, we can understand how plants prepare their food. Okay, we can also present this process through this equation. So here we can see that these are our raw materials, and these raw materials will be utilized by chlorophyll in the presence of sunlight to obtain two products. First product is carbohydrate and our second product is oxygen. Okay, but have you ever wondered why do we call this process photosynthesis? Hmm? Actually, the answer is hidden in its name itself. Pause the video and think for a moment. Yes, exactly. We call it photosynthesis because photo means light and synthesis means to combine. So our raw materials, combine in the presence of light to form our products, right? So because of this reason, we call this process photosynthesis. Okay, and in this process, you know what, we are getting energy from sunlight, right? Okay, and this energy is converted into chemical energy. So here the solar energy is converted into chemical energy during the process of photosynthesis. And whenever we say chemical energy, we actually mean to say food. Actually, in food the energy is stored in the form of chemicals. So that is why we say solar energy is converted into chemical energy, and this chemical energy is stored in leaves in the form of food. So here, can you tell me what is the ultimate source of energy? कहाँ से सारी energy आ रही है? Exactly, sun. So our sun is ultimate source of energy for all organisms on earth. Okay, and we can also represent the process of photosynthesis through this sketch, through this figure. So in this figure, first of all, let's find out our raw materials. So this is carbon dioxide, which is present in air, and these arrows suggest that carbon dioxide is going inside the leaves. Okay, and what was our another raw material? Hmm? Exactly, water and minerals. So these water and minerals are present in soil, and these are absorbed by roots, and then stems conduct them. Okay, so these are our two raw materials, and now our chlorophyll, which is present in leaves, which is green pigment. Our green pigment chlorophyll will utilize our two raw materials, carbon dioxide and water, in the presence of what? Right, in the presence of sunlight, to prepare two things. What were the two things? Hmm? Exactly, carbohydrates and oxygen. And in this figure also you can see that oxygen is given here, and the arrow suggests that oxygen is liberating from the leaves. Okay, arrows are pointing outwards now. So in this process, oxygen is going out and carbon dioxide is going in. And the another product was carbohydrate. So carbohydrate is stored in different parts of plant. Okay, so I hope this process of photosynthesis is clear to you all, but let's discuss few more concepts related to it. Okay, so let's discuss about obtaining raw materials and transporting them to leaves. Okay, so whenever your father cook dal, so from where do you get all the raw materials? Like, who went to the market and buy all the vegetables? Who? And from where do you get all these? Okay, so similar way we will also going to discuss about the raw materials, and from where do we get them and how do we transport them to the leaves. Okay, so let's discuss one by one. So our first raw material was water and minerals. Okay, so what happens is, so you can see this figure, right? So these are roots and this is stem and these are leaves. Okay. So these roots absorb water and minerals from soil. Okay. And through from where do roots absorb these water and minerals? Actually, there are, small root hairs. There are some, thread-like structures. So these root hairs absorb the water and minerals which are present in soil. Okay, and minerals are basically, dissolve in water. So whenever root hairs absorb water, the minerals are also get absorbed along with them. Okay, so now our roots are here and they absorb the water minerals. Now, now stems will take all the absorbed water and mineral to the leaves. They will conduct the water to the leaves and other parts of the plant. So in this way, we get the idea how these raw materials get transported to the leaves. Now, our next is carbon dioxide. So, do you know कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड कहाँ पे प्रेजेंट होता है? Hmm? Exactly, carbon dioxide is present in air, and these are taken by leaves through the pores. There are some pores on leaves, like small tiny pores, and these pores are called stomata. Okay, through this tiny pores present on leaves, carbon dioxide is diffused into leaves. Okay, so now we know from where do our plant get all the raw materials. Okay. So let me explain you about stomata. So you can see this figure, right? So this is our leaf, and when we see leaf in a more in a microscopic way, then we see a small opening, a small a circular opening and a pore inside at the center, right? This is stomatal opening from where carbon dioxide gets in. Okay, and around this stomatal opening you can see two bean like structures. These are basically guard cells, and they are called guard cells because they guard the opening and closing of the stomata. In this position, the guard cells are open. It means stomata is open, so carbon dioxide can get inside it, and oxygen can also get out. Okay, let's understand this even in more depth. Okay, so when we use microscope and see this figure, then we can see that there are some green pigments. You can see these green color structures, right? These are chlorophyll. They give green color to our leaf, and they perform a very important function. They capture the sunlight. They capture the solar energy. Okay, and now here you can see a small opening. You can see this opening, right? This is stomata, and the two cells around it are guard cells which guard the opening and closing of stomata. Okay, now let's proceed further. Now the question arises, what is so special about leaves that they can synthesize food but other non-green parts of plant cannot? Hmm? And there is one similar question, why our body, we humans, we also have carbon dioxide, water and minerals around us, but why can't we prepare our own food? Why? Think. Exactly. Leaves contain a green pigment called chlorophyll, and because of the chlorophyll, they can prepare their own food because chlorophyll help leaves to capture this energy of the sunlight, so they can prepare their own food. But the other parts of the plant which are not green, it means chlorophyll is absent in them, so they cannot capture the energy of the sun. Therefore, they cannot prepare their food. In the same way, we humans, we might have carbon dioxide, water, and minerals around us, but we cannot prepare our food because we don't have chlorophyll. And if we don't have chlorophyll, ultimately we cannot capture the energy of the sunlight, and therefore we cannot prepare our own food. Okay, I hope this is clear now. But are there any exceptions? Hmm? Okay, let me ask you, do photosynthesis take place in other green parts of the plant? Here, now I'm asking other green parts, not other parts. Now, here I'm talking about the other parts which are green. Okay, so you must have seen some stems and branches which are also green in color, and the green color suggests that chlorophyll is present in them. So, yes, we can see that the other green parts of the plant also carry out photosynthesis. And a very interesting example is desert plants. In desert plants like cactus, you can see this figure, right? So these spines are basically the leaves which are reduced, okay, to reduce the water loss. And here the green part which we are seeing is the stem. Yes, here the stem is green, so it means the stem contains the chlorophyll, so it has the ability to capture the sunlight, so now it can perform the photosynthesis. Okay, so there are a lot of such examples where other green parts of the plant perform photosynthesis. Now I have one more question. See, you must have seen some plants which have, deep red or violet or brown leaves. So, do these leaves also carry out photosynthesis? Because green color is not visible, and we generally say green color means chlorophyll is present. But these leaves are of different colors. So, do these leaves also carry out photosynthesis? Hmm? Pause the video and think. Exactly. So these leaves also carry out photosynthesis. Actually, what happens is, along with chlorophyll pigment, they also contain some other color pigments. Okay, so because of other color pigments, they mask the green color of the chlorophyll. Okay, so they contain chlorophyll, and along with chlorophyll, they also contain some other pigment. But when we see leaves, we it appears that as if no chlorophyll is present and other color pigments are present. But in reality, the chlorophyll is present in them. Okay, and that chlorophyll carry out the process of photosynthesis. Okay, now my next question is: so, are there any other organisms who have chlorophyll and carry out photosynthesis? And the hint is given here. So, are there any organisms who perform photosynthesis other than plants? Yeah, you can see this picture. This is the pond. In the stagnant water, you can trace these, green patches. Can you tell me what are these green patches? Exactly, these green patches are algae. Yes, algae contain chlorophyll. That is why they appear green. And because they contain chlorophyll, so they can carry out photosynthesis. They can prepare their own food. Okay, now we will do our activity where we are going to prove that sunlight is necessary for the process of photosynthesis. Okay, so let's get back to our virtual lab and perform this wonderful activity. Okay.